Hey, Staffers, Diane Davidge here with DDStamps.com, and I'm kind of chuckling because about 5 minutes ago I was in a little bit of a panic because I could not get the cameras to work, but I do believe they're working now. So it looks like I have people watching. I need to figure out my comments. I don't see them yet. I'm kind of afraid to press anything because I might end up with the cameras going down. Oh, they're there. No, that's not them. All right, I'm gonna find them. So just hang on. Come on, let me know you're here. I'm gonna do a little bit of searching for the comments so that I can actually see them. Darn it. I don't know how they went away. Anyway, it's been one of those days, and I thought everything was good to go, and then I set everything up, and I opened it all up, and I had no camera, but I do now. The only thing I don't have is comments. So I know it's something simple. That's the part that frustrates me, is that I know it's something simple. See, I can bring the comments. See, I really don't want to do this because I'm going to end up. Yikes. This is why I don't want to do what I'm doing. Darn it. All right. Oh, please. Yay! I still don't have comments. And I don't know how I can get them. Oh, I found them. Yay! Oh, good. Everybody's. Hi, Mare. All right, I'm going to scroll back up. So I do now see comments. I know that I'm not on Facebook. My internet tonight was not going to have any of it. So I'm only on YouTube and my website. So hopefully if you're on Facebook and you can't find me, you show up here. So good. Marie's here, Linda's here, Karen's here. Yay. Jamie's here, Jana, Mary, Terry. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I am showing tonight the Frosted Forest stamp set bundle with dies and with the masks. Stampin' Up calls them masks. Some of us call them stencils. That's what I'm going to show tonight. So if you have any questions, holler. I think before I start, though, now that I've got everything kind of arranged here, I'm going to show you what's going on. Let's see what's going on this month. Stampin' Up is having a Designer Series paper sale starting on Tuesday. So the Designer Series papers in the regular catalog are 15% off. I did offer up a paper share for those people who want a share of the paper, of all the papers that are on sale. So you'll have to check my website for that information. The tutorial for this month. Okay, I'm going to flip my camera because I do want to show you my tutorial and get started. Except my camera locked up. I think it's going to be what. Oh, there we go. It's back. All right. So I'm just going to have to be keeping tabs on it and make sure it doesn't lock up. I don't know why it's doing that. It had not done that for a long time. So the tutorial that I did for this month uses a new stamp set out of the holiday mini catalog that's coming out. It's called Winterly Treetops. Hi, Sylvie. So this is the stamp set. This is one that we got to play with last month, I think, when we had an event. Stampin' Up had an event for demonstrators, and this was one of the products that they showcased. So this is Winterly Treetops is the stamp set. Let me show you the paper because it is beautiful. I only have a little bit of this left. You know how that goes. So it's very wintry and lots of birds. But I love it. So these are actually 12 by 12. I've cut them because I've been using them. And then this side has various, actually fairly plain, I mean, just real fun designs, but coordinates with that side. And then this suite has these earth tone shimmer gems, which shimmer. And then I love this linen thread in Night of Navy, Compi, and Garden Green, I believe. And then it also comes with dies that are, that's not all of them. So the dies that it comes with, I know I love the paper too. This is kind of a cool die. It's a big one. But some of the dies cut out images from the stamp set and also images from the paper. And for some reason, I don't think that's all of them. Oh, here, there's some more in here. I got to get this organized better. So there's lots of dies, but I'm just going to show you quickly the cards. So this is the tutorial for August. And so as you know, when you place an order with me, I send you a tutorial. It's got, 6 projects usually. And then if your order's over $50 the following month, I send you a packet of supplies to complete the projects. But I got to show you my cards because I think they turned out so pretty. This one, super simple. It is just a piece of designer series paper layered with some smoky slate cardstock onto a basic white base. And then I stamped one of the images or the sentiments. I love the font in this. And just cut it into a tag and tied it with some of that Night of Navy linen thread. That was a tough getting that word out. All right, so then this got a little more Christmassy, but none of these are real Christmassy. You could send them anytime in the winter. This one uses the garden green and some of the gems. These are just images from this is an image from the paper. This one behind it is actually a stamped image. And then this one uses that background die cut. I just used 2. Cut one in white and one in garden green and flipped them around. And then the stamped image, and then I used a marker, so I just colored the thanks on that one. This one I love. This one uses, there's a big old embossing folder that goes with this. Excuse me. It's big. But these turned out, I love them. This was one that Stampin' Up actually showed us in the classes that we took, but I loved it, so I wanted to share that with you. And then this one is just using designer series paper and some of the linen threads, some of the gems, and a stamped image. But these little birds are in the paper, and I love this paper. So that is the tutorial for August. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get started because I don't want my camera to stop. I don't want anything to stop. And so tonight we're using Frosted Forest. This is a bundle. So it is a stamp set, a die set, and then it has masks. I've used these before and we've talked about these before, but I'm going to show you just a little bit different way to use those tonight. And then it comes with dies. And my gosh, when the dies are amazing. So these are all of them. I actually put them out and took them out so that you could actually see. They're good size. I mean, you can look at my hand. That's a pretty good size tree. Cuts out lots of various things. And so some of them are standalone dies, like these trees and this tree. And some of them, this is kind of cool. I'll show you something with this tonight, with this die and this die together. And then some of them cut out images. Well, Joe and I was struggling to get on, so I just got started. So anyway, these are the dies that go with this stamp set, and I'm going to actually probably use those tonight. I'm going to set these over on my desk so I don't lose them or end up with so much garbage around here. All right, so I'm just going to start, and I'm going to start with a piece of basic white. And one of the things that I'm going to do, I'm actually going to bring in some scratch paper to put on here, because what I found with these masks is when you first start with them, It truly is easier to line them up. So these masks come, these three are the tree. I'm going to do this one first. So these three are the tree, and they're labeled 1, 2, and 3. They kind of say to use them in that order, but you don't really have to. You can mix them up. And then the other masks have the pine trees, and it's 2 of them, and they're actually labeled A, B, and C. So, and really what I found is sometimes you can use just 2 masks, sometimes you can use 3 masks. All right, so what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to get a bigger piece of paper. Sorry. It's different when I'm working at my desk because I could be right down into the project, and here I can't be because my head will cover up what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do to start is lay down my paper, and I'm just using a little painter's tape that I had. You can use anything. You can use a Post-it note, but I prefer to have my cardstock taped down only because when I first start out with these masks, before I get used to them, I'm not always, that's not a big there. Before I actually get used to using them, I like to actually follow the instructions that Stampin' Up! Gives you. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Might as well just take some real chances here. There. All right, and so I'm going to put my mask down kind of where I want it. I'm going to just do this tree like sort of in the middle. And I actually draw that corner and this corner. And it has that little notch up here. That's so you can line up the masks on top of each other once you're get going. And like I said, once you start and you get going, you'll realize, okay, I don't really have to tape down the mask and use the triangles because it's fairly easy to line them up. All right, so this one is just the trunk. So I'm going to ink it up, and I'm using early espresso. I wasn't using early espresso earlier, but I'm going to dab it off onto the mask. And then you'll notice I'm using a sponge dauber. And I think the last time I did some sponging with Layers of Beauty, I used the blending brushes. And blending brushes would work for this. I personally, for this particular project, these projects, some of the sections that you're going into are fairly little. You know, they're not very big. And so I find myself not wasting so much ink and using with the sponge daubers. Sponge daubers are just as simple as Cindy, when are we able to order winterly tree tops? It will be available in September. First, I think September, I don't know, 1st, I think. So yeah, it is just, no, this one, no, sorry. I was thinking the other set. Winterly, winterly tree tops will be available in September in the Holiday Mini, which those of you who are customers of mine, you should be getting a Holiday Mini in the mail one of these days. I would think they probably would come closer to the end of August, in a couple weeks. So winterly tree tops is available in September. And Frosted Forest, which I'm using tonight, is actually an online exclusive. Ooh, I didn't dab this one off. You can tell too. One of the things I've noticed with the sponge daubers, and you're going to see that with this tree, is I got some texture because my sponge daubers are getting kind of racked up a little bit. But you can see how quickly you can come up with a tree. Sorry, I'm going to bring it a little bit farther so you can actually see it. So anyway, so there's your first. And then they have a third layer that you can come in with. And this is number 3. I'm going to go ahead and line it up. And I'm just going to use that same dauber that I've already used. I'm not even going to re-ink it because I know it has lots of ink on it. I'm going to line that up and sponge daub that in. And like I said, you can use sponge daubers, you can use blending brushes, and then you get this beautiful tree, which I just think that tree is so pretty, just like that. And so I did one earlier today, and I cut it out with the dies. And then I took, this one is actually done with, this one is done with pecan pie and old olive, and this one's done with early espresso and old olive. So very similar, not too much difference. But then once I cut it out, I just took my sponge dauber and I just went around and lightened it up on the inside there. Because for some reason, I don't know why, but I don't really like the, not on everything, but don't like so much white showing on things that I've die cut. Okay, and so the other thing that you can do, and this probably is easier to do without the tree, I mean to do first. I'm going to try it. I'll give it a shot. So I'm just going to take my tree stamp and I'm going to get a big block. Put this on here. You can see my stamp is already stained. So it looks like I was stamping this tree in red, but I was actually stamping it in pecan, which has a red tinge to it, so it shows up. Okay, so once I've done that, then I'm going to take my early espresso. I really like that tree. I hate to wreck it. Oh well, if it gets wrecked, it gets wrecked, right? It's just paper. So I'm inking this up, and then I'm going to line this up, and this is where my head might get in the way. Let's see how close I can get. And by doing that, I give that tree a lot of dimension. It's really pretty. I'm going to take this out so you can bring it up closer so you can see. But you can see where you get the dimension of the stamp set. So on this particular one, if you wanted to do that, you could stamp it first, and then it's much easier to line up the stencils. But I also like it just with the stencils and not lined up. Okay, so then what you're going to do with this one is we're going to go ahead and cut this out. So I'm going to show you how I do that. I put this onto my platform. And just to help me stay where I want to be, I'm going to add Post-it tape. So this is Post-it tape that I just picked up here at the local office supply store. I picked it up a long time ago. I don't even know if it still looks like this. But I use it over and over and over. So like I took a couple pieces off yesterday, and I've been using them for the last 2 days. And I do a lot of die cutting these days. I know, this is just a beautiful stamp. I love this tree. This is the best tree. This is the best bundle they've ever done for trees. Wait till I show you the evergreens. They too are beautiful. So this is just Post-it tape, so it shouldn't stick too bad. And it's Post-it tape that I've used over and over, so it shouldn't have much stickum to it. Anyway, there's your tree. Cut out. And so just to give this tree, yeah, yeah, my plates are well loved, Joan. I use my plates until they absolutely break. So like I was telling you about the white space, I don't mind it on some things, but I personally on this one took my green and I just went right around the edges just to tone it down. Actually went into the middle of the tree and just a light brushing just tones that down a little bit. And then I can do it here on the tree trunk. And I don't know, I love it. I just love the difference that it makes. So there's my first tree. Here's my second tree. I'm going to show you a card. I'll start with this one, I guess. So I've used Mossy Meadow. Now I gotta fold these all. Oh, I'm glad you're here from Aurora, Illinois. All right, so this is Mossy Meadow, and this is some of the green and gold paper from the online exclusives. And adhesive. I'm going to cover up that gold foil, which I didn't have to, but I think I use it on another card, so you'll see it too. Then I just took a piece of basic white and I sponged it. No, I didn't sponge it. I actually took my dauber and went right around my edges, all the way around my edges. And I'm going to add that onto here. And then I'm going to take my tree, and I can do either one. I think I'll do this one. I like the looks of that one. Let me grab some dimensionals. I always think they're going to be like right in front of me. All right, so I'm just going to take some dimensionals, and I just grabbed little ones because that was what was close. Normally I would use the bigger dimensionals, but these are kind of nice because they go right down that stem without having to cut them. Just taking the backs off my dimensionals. You know how long that takes. Sometimes if you see the camera shake, it's only because I've kind of banged my phone so that it doesn't shut down. I'm not really sure what I did tonight, but everything was working earlier and then it wasn't. So there's my tree. Turn on the dimensionals. And then I just stamped the thank you from the stamp set. So the sentiments have a really interesting font. They're mixed fonts and they're very different. They're different than other sentiments that we've had. But I just stamped thank you on pecan with early espresso. And I'll add that with the dimensionals too. And I know that there's some embellishments that would coordinate with this. I just haven't pulled them out yet. So if I change these cards up, which I've been known to do, I will show them next week. But I will take pictures and put them up tonight. So there's the first card. I love that tree. It turned out great. All right, so I wanted to show quickly. I'm going to save this because I'm going to do something with that. I might even do it tonight. You never know. So these two dies, I'm going to bring them over here and show them to you. These two dies here. So this is obviously the tree trunk, and this is actually the leaves. I cut these out earlier, and I'll tell you one of the things I found with this one, as you can see how detailed it is. You can imagine how many of those little holes kept something in them. I ran it through my Big Shot. I probably should have had some sort of a shim just to make it a little bit tighter. And then it didn't take me long, but I figured probably one of those dies that you'll cut out a bunch and then sit in front of the TV and, I don't know, watch something, the Olympics or something, and poke out all the little pieces. However, when I got done doing it, I found that I love it. So here is the tree, and here are the leaves. So when you put it together, it just makes this I just think it's really cool. I think it's a very cool tree. And so I decided today I'm just going to use a piece of espresso. I'm using some of that lavender paper I've used before. You know me, I think I've been doing this actual gingham paper for a while. I need to expand my horizons. And I'm just going to layer that on. So my cardstock is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then this piece is 4 by 5 1/4. And then I'm going to take these pieces And I'm just going to attach them on here. And so let me grab my glue. I'll grab my glue dots too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the tree trunk down with some of the green glue. And I'm just, as you can see, I'm just dotting it up that stem. It doesn't need a ton, and I don't want it to spread out and get all over my card. But I wanted you guys to see this die because I just think it's so awesome. So we're going to put that on there. And then I'm going to take glue dots for the next one. You could use the green glue, but I was sitting here today thinking, I bet these would work. So I'm going to take these glue dots and I'm kind of rolling them. And then I'm going to flip this over and just find a couple of spots that they'll go onto so they won't show. Won't make the front of your card sticky. So you roll them. And I'll probably put 3 or 4 because I want it to stick, but I still wanted it to be kind of wispy, kind of airy. I think that's enough. These are really sticky. And then find the spot you want it. And because you rolled them, it kind of gives a little bit of dimension too. But I loved this tree. I when I first saw the dies, I thought, I probably wouldn't use those much. But I just love the look. I think it's really pretty. And again, you could cut out this die, and those would fit right over the top of it. In fact, I could probably pop that off. I'm really asking to tear this. I wanted to do this before. So you could, if you wanted to just to give this some dimension, it lines right up and just makes a different looking tree. And then of course I would probably trim this off and use, or cut this lower part in espresso. Anyway. So that's the die, but I want it just to be this. Because I love the wispiness of these leaves, and I love that trunk. Again, now I didn't do much to this. I'm probably going to add maybe some linen thread and maybe a couple of dimensionals. I don't know. And not dimensionals, embellishments. So that's those dies. I wanted to give you a good variety of seeing dies tonight. So, okay, now we're going to do my favorite one. And I can't use these same marks for my masks because my paper won't be in the same place. So I'm just going to put my paper here. This is really a versatile set. I mean, you could make sympathy cards, you could make wedding cards, you could make anything. Really, it's seriously is a very versatile stamp set. All right. And you know that you could use the masks without the stamps. The masks work great. So now I'm going to use these tree masks. I'm going to do the big one. These are labeled ABC. So I'm going to take the first one and lay that on there. Try putting trunk on blank tree first, then die cut the leaves. So you mean like trunk on here? And then die cut, die cut these. Interesting. Yeah, like I said, I just got started playing with them, so there's probably a million other things you can do. All right, so once I have that lined up where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and trace around this little notch that Stampin' Up! Has provided to help you know where your mask was. Once you start using them a lot, you will find that you don't necessarily need the marks, because once you start playing with them, it kind of just, they fit in. So I'm going to go ahead with Old Olive. Tap some off because I don't really want this too dark because I got so many other layers coming in. Like I said, the blending brushes will work. I like the sponge daubers for these smaller because they're easier to control. And the other thing is you can always do less color because you can always add more. Does that make sense? Next one, B. Oh yeah, add the tree, the flowers or the leaves and the trunk to the solid piece. I will do some up just for the fun of it. All right, so that's lined up. Coming back in with the Old Olive. And like I said, you can always add more. So start light and then add more if you want to. The sponge dauber has seen better days. I've been using it a lot this week. I did a lot of things with Old Olive and a sponge dauber. All right, so then I'm going to pull that one off. But you can see how this tree starts to come to life. And then we have the third. And now some people would not do all the same color. You could do different tones of greens, different shades. I'm just doing it all the same color because I didn't want to get it too complicated tonight. Keep it easy so that you can actually see how easy these are to work. And go from there. And like I said, you can always add more. This one got a little bit dark, but it's still very cool. So there's your evergreen tree. So one of the things that another demonstrator did is she took one of her blends, and so I'm going to use the dark pumpkin pie or pecan pie because that's what I have, and I'm just going up. You'll see where the trunk's supposed to be, going up the middle of your tree, and add in the trunk, and it just gives a little bit more dimension to that tree, like that. It's very cool looking. And just think, I just used like one color. So one of the things that a demonstrator did, I think she used this one, yeah. She came in and lined it up and then scooted it down. So this is where we were when the first time we stenciled it. She did that and then she scooted it down one. Just a notch, like that. And then came in with ink. Like that. Just puts more into your tree. It just adds more depth to your tree. But it makes it look so pretty. So this is this afternoon's tree that I did. Oh, I did stamp on this one too. All right, so once I did that, then I inked this up in the green. Stamped it down. Adds just a little bit more dimension. This was the one I did this afternoon I just did the 3 stencils and the stamping and the marker. And then I took once I cut it out, I took my sponge dauber and just went and gave it just a little bit so that it just shaded it out a little bit more. So that is such a cool, oh, come on. Come on. Shoot. Sorry about that. My camera locked up. There we go. All right. So that is such a cool tree. Yes. So, somebody asked if you could put snow on the last mask. You certainly could. So some people have taken, this is not the last mask, this one, placed it on your tree. Probably wouldn't do the green stencil, but they took there's several things that you can do. Number one, you can use some of our paste. We have paste with glitter in it, and you could just put some paste on there and it would look like snow. The other thing you can do is you can do Versamark ink, and you can put Versamark ink with a sponge dauber, and then add Versamark ink, and then add white embossing powder. And the other thing, so I have a, I don't know if this works. I have a white gel pen. Let me see if I can find make sure it works. I don't know if this will work. I don't really want to wreck that one. I'll do this one. Yeah, so you could actually do a white gel pen and add in some snow if you wanted to. You can just barely see it, but it shows up. But I liked the embossing powder. In fact, let's just give it a shot. What the heck? Let me grab my Versamark, my embossing powder, my embossing buddy. All right. And I need a clean dauber. So I'm going to tell you what I would do if I were you and you were going to do this is, if you're going to use a dauber, just mark your dauber. Put a little piece of tape on it, put V on it for Versamark, so that, number one, you don't put it into another ink pad, and number two, you just always have it. All right, so I'm going to use my embossing buddy. All this is doing is putting powder onto my card so that the static will stay off of it, so my embossing powder won't stick to everything. Then I'm going to take the last, I'm going to clean this off though. This started to get a little bit more complicated, but that's all right. I don't want to get my Versamark full of old olive ink. So when I'm done with these tonight, these stencils, I usually will just take them into the kitchen and run them under some water and let them air dry. Tonight I just took the cloth I had and washed it off. I just don't want to get old olive ink in my Versamark. So I'm going to line that up. This might take some time because the sponge dauber is very dry. And I'm sponging into those crevices there. I hope this looks cool when I'm done. I'm glad somebody asked, because earlier today I was like, oh, I should show them the snow part, but you know, there's just so much to show. And then you're going to take your white embossing powder and sprinkle that over the top of your tree. And that sticks to the Versamark. I really should put the cover on that before I have Versamark powder in my Versamark. And then do that. Oh, look it. It's going to be cool. All right. I'm going to have to move this because I think you guys are going to have to watch this one change because it's going to be cool. Always use a piece of paper under your embossing so that you can put it all back into the container. And know that when you open up a bottle of embossing powder, it lasts forever. It seems to grow. All right. Where's my tree? Pull out my tree. Let me get my embossing gun. I even had my embossing gun out to do something. I think I must have been embossing something else yesterday. All right. Let it heat up a little bit. Bring this up to the camera so you can actually see it. Some people do it from the bottom. I don't know, I always did it from the top. It's pretty cool. I love it. I love it. Yeah, look at how cool it looks. Can you guys see the shine? Probably not, but sometimes you can have glitter in your embossing powder would be cool. But it's very Christmassy looking. So once I've done that, then I will take my die, line it up. This tree turned out really cool. I just think that this is one of their better. I mean, they've had some good trees in the past, but this one, this whole bundle rocks. So I think it was Joan who commented on my my cutting plates. They are very worn. They're warped, they're worn, they're both sides. I have others, but what I do is I use them until they crack. So I've had those for years, obviously. But I do have extras in the waiting. Sometimes if I'm really doing something special that I don't want to get even dirt or anything on it, I like it. So there's the tree. It's very pretty. I really like it. All right, I'm gonna have to do something with that this week. Thanks for pushing me to do that. Put that aside there for now. All right. I'm gonna come back with this tree that I made earlier. And then this one is just a smaller tree. I did basically the same. The 3 different stencils. So actually I could have done them all 3 together because they're both on the same stencil. And then again, when I cut it out, I went ahead and sponged around it. Now this one I wouldn't sponge around because that white looks good because of the snow. Look at the difference in those 2 trees just from that embossing. So you get a lot of different effects, different looks. All right, and so on this card, push these aside, I'm using Mossy Meadow card base. That's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I'm using a piece of the same paper from that green and gold. This time we're going to use the gold side. Add that on there. It's going to make it look so fancy. You could do the snow too on this one. By using the same, it would look cool. Using the stencil. Anyway. And then I'm using some of the vellum that comes with that suite of products. And this has just a little bit of texture. I'm going to add on some adhesive. Put this into the middle. If I wanted to make this a really fancy Christmas card, I could just do that. And a gold Merry Christmas or something. It's very, very elegant looking. I'm going to do these trees. So I'm going to put them on like dimensionals. Yeah, Marie, that snow really adds to the whole tree. It is amazing. Although I still love this tree. I love the trunk. I just love that tip about using one of your markers and going up that trunk to make it pop. All right. And I'm going to put this one in there. And let's see, what do we have for saves? What are the birthday wishes? I haven't used that one yet. It's kind of how I pick some sentiments. If I had something I needed, oops. Camera still working? All right. Now I could just stamp this. Actually, what would be really pretty is gold embossing. All right, let's do it. I'm going to use my embossing buddy on that vellum. This could get messy. As long as we're embossing, we're going to go ahead and ink up this stamp. We're going to make sure it is somewhat straight. We're going to add, number one, we're going to add a piece of paper. Then we're going to add the embossing onto that vellum. One of the things you need to remember about embossing and vellum is vellum heats up really quickly, so the embossing melts really quickly. And so you get, there's a certain time frame where the embossing melts and looks fabulous, and then you burn it and it doesn't look so fabulous. So just be aware that it looks different. It looks different depending on how long you heat it. And vellum doesn't take very long, as you'll see here. Probably never would have. I like it. I probably would not have embossed that with the card together, only because I could have wrecked the whole thing. But I do like it. Looks like I might have pressed a little too hard on some of my stamping because birthday H got kind of funky, but people can certainly read it. Anyway, I like that card and that tree. All right, so I'm going to show you, put that aside for a minute. So some of the other trees that I did. So this one and this one are very similar. But this one, of course, these are done with Daffodil Delight. And I think I did a very little bit of pumpkin pie, just to give a little bit more. And then this one is actually stamped with pecan and cut out. Here's some of the dies. So I still have lots of trees to play with. Plus this one. This one. So these are some of the dies. I found these interesting. There's just the stamp, the big evergreen stamp, and cut out, which looks great. Here's the small one that you could actually use. This was interesting. This is the big one. Here's the big one with the branch one tucked inside there. So I'll show you those. It's these. So it's like this, put into this one and cut out together, does this. And then you could actually lay this in there. And if you wanted to, lay it on top of that. So you can do some layers of different greens with just cardstock. And it, if I had a different color than Old Olive, because I already used that. Well, here, let's put it on. So you can just see how you can get some different layered looks. They're very interesting. I thought that one was interesting. There's also a border die in there with these trees. So this is the trees, but it cuts along the border. So I cut this one with white, and I'm probably going to layer it onto some Pool Party. You can just get a totally different look. You could do it in colors. You could actually put ink directly onto your die cut and color it that way. I like the white. And I'm probably just going to put this onto a basic white cardstock and probably emboss some nice cheerful Christmas thing. Oh yeah, Wink Costello would look awesome on these. You're right, Terry. See, I should have called you earlier today. You have so many good ideas. And there's only so much time. And it's way hot in my stamp room tonight. All right, so one more, let's see. This was one I just played with earlier today. So I did the tree, and then the grass happens to be the pine tree. So I just inked up the pine tree on the edges and then stamped it along there, and then flipped it this way and stamped it that way. And that made my grass. And then add a little sponging. I just wanted to see, I needed something to anchor my tree. So, gosh, I can't wait to play with these. I will definitely make some things with that stuff and show them to you next week when we get together next Thursday. So here are the cards that I did tonight. Just 3 options, which there's so many more. There's just so many more. But I kind of wanted to show, I definitely wanted to show the masks because I think those are really fun to play with. And I definitely wanted to show this. I wasn't going to till about 6 o'clock tonight when I was cutting those out. And then I was like, oh, I got to make a tree with that. That's really cool. So, all right, I'm going to come back on screen. Don't look at this. I'm melting in here because it is really, it's 85 degrees in Red Lodge. Yeah, thanks. I like that tip for doing the grass. 85 degrees at 8 o'clock at night in Red Lodge is hot. All right. Plus being under all these lights. So if anybody has any questions, now's the time to ask. I will put everybody who commented in my chat box there. I will put all your names in a number generator, or put all your how many comments I have, pick out a number, and that one number will get a gift from me. I am still doing my Summer of Stamping Fun, so if you are... Thanks, Rebecca. I love the set too. It really is cool. And it's one of those versatile sets that could be used year-round for all different things. Anyway, my Summer of Stamping Fun, you get a ticket for every $20 that you order into my bucket, my sand bucket. If you send me a card, which I do have some cards, I think they're at Napa. I forgot to bring them home today, so I'm really sorry if you were waiting to see your card. It'll be here next week. So I draw a name out of here, and they get a free gift from me in the mail. And the winner this week is Marilyn Presley. I think Marilyn has won more than once, but that tells you something. Her name's in there a lot. So anyway, back to the cards. If there's anything, you guys have any questions, now's the time to ask. Thank you, Sylvie. It's really fun, but it's hard because you can't show everything. And I really seriously just pulled this set out. I've had it for a while, and I just pulled it out yesterday. And I can see I'm going to play with it a lot. Yeah, well, the different colors, it really was not. I used Old Olive, and I used really espresso, but I don't see it here. Oh, here it is. So I only used 2 ink pads tonight. But all my various tree pieces have different inks, and you could use all different kinds of inks with them. I love this. Love that. And I love these trees. You see how you can just mix them up, make lots of different cards, change them all up. I like the different looks of these two. And all I did differently really was stamp one with the actual line image. So anyway, thank you. Have a good night. And I will I'll see you next week. I'll be here. I will have these cards hopefully done up and maybe share some more ideas with them. So take it easy. It's going to be a hot one all weekend. So I will, might have to put an air conditioner in my stamp room. Anyway, thanks, guys. We will speak with you soon.